Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's session, we're going to learn about advanced shell scripting. Now, I know it takes some time for everyone to get notified and join. So I will, of course, will wait for a few minutes, say 2-3 minutes, and in that time, let me just quickly check that. Just let me know that is my voice working fine or not, and of course, from where you are, either from LinkedIn or from YouTube. I would love to see from where the traffic is coming or whether my audience are. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, looks like people are joining. And let me see that I can share the screen properly or not. Okay, looks like screen sharing working fine. So we're all good. And let's see. I think still people are joining. But yeah, do let me know that if you guys can see the screen and hear my voice properly. I think that's the most important part. Hey Chetan. Hey Pavan. Looks like folks from YouTube was able to see the stream. Okay, good enough. Last week I didn't able to. I think this session was actually supposed to be the last week session, but guest came. I didn't able to. Okay. Hey Shaturam, hope you're doing good. Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for confirming, Chetan. That was I was waiting for that. People are able to hear me and see me properly. So since all that's set, let's get started without any further delay. And usually these sessions are long, so people will come and join. They will go, and later on they can watch again in my YouTube feed. And if someone joining for first time, do feel free to subscribe the channel and check the last session because I started from like basic cloud, then what is the basic computing, storage, networking, and then you are coming to this stage where you are like basic scripting to scripting deep dive I've covered last I think 2 week back. This week we are covering the advanced scripting. Now this is very important because you're going to cover the cases that you're going to face in your real life day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's get started. Now this is guys know this is the training part. We're going to start advanced scripting. Now what is advanced scripting? Let's come to that first. So advanced shell scripting involves writing shell script that automates complex tasks and make use of advanced features of shell scripting. Now, what kind of things are? I think before even covering and going to the all through slides and all, see what we first learn like ls command, say for example, see pwd command, which you can see the present working directory, ls command to list the files, right? And similarly we use cat to see what are the contents inside a file. Okay, what it does behind the scene, actually it processes the file and rewrite the output to standard output, which is our console. Okay, now all these things, maybe in the beginning you might think, okay, maybe so much complicated stuff, but when you start working on all these things, slowly you get adapted to it and you learn it. Okay, that's how everyone go. But you have to first understand things are there, these are the types of topics available, these are the things we can do, then only you go and explore, right? That's why knowing all this is very important. Okay, so now let's start. So you guys know now what is advanced scripting. It's more of a advanced use cases of scripting. Now, again, just as a reminder, this is script shebang. You see that this hash, then node, and slash bean slash. Oh, I think Pavan one thing that's saying that is it still or PowerShell scripting, because the logo seems to be I guess put any logo I got it, but it is self scripting, pure self scripting or bash scripting. Okay, if anyone getting confused, I know I'm not sure because this is the logo I've seen for so long, so that's why I used it. So yes, now let's come to the topics then. Script shebang and why it's important. See, shell, when you run shell, and you can choose different environment. You can choose KSH, you can use like this normal bash scripting. Okay, now there are multiple environment. There is KSH, CSH and all that. In last session I have covered that. If you are not sure what I'm talking about, you may want to check that session first. Okay, now in this session let's understand, just it's a bit revised because when you start working on real life use cases, you will see this shebang, like selection of proper shell scripting environment becoming very important. Okay, that's why knowing where are your main shell scripting binary you are pointing to, which environment you are going to run your shell script, that has become important. Just like say Pawan saying that is it there is PowerShell also. For that also you have different shell environment, right? That's why this is very important to know where you're running the shell script. Okay. Now you can select the entire environment itself for shell scripting. Now I will come to that. Let's first go through this one, and I think we will definitely understand this first, and we go to next one. Okay. Now, what is shebang? Shebang is a special code in very beginning of executable files, also known as scripts, that specifies the interpreter for the script. Now, it is typically represented at hash, then a not, then followed by the path for the interpreter to executable. It simply means that you are setting the executable, or you can say shell scripting environment, in which shell this script that you're reading in shell script going to execute. Okay. Now, the shebang line is essential in shell script as it tells operating system which shell to use to interpret the commands in the script. Because based on different shell scripting environment or different shells, the code you're writing will be interpreted that way. Okay. So suppose you are writing for KSH and you're trying to execute like in the say other shell scripting environment. If that supports good, if that doesn't support it, then you will see the your shell scripting failing. Okay. That's why knowing all this is very important. Now, different shell have different syntax, of course, and built-in commands. So it is important to specify correct shell in shebang line to ensure that the script are running as intended. Okay. Now, below are the two type of shebang you will see. First one is the environment shebang. Now, to execute a particular to execute a script file with the bash executable found in the path environment variable by using the executable. Now, env, you can see the env part I'm having. So you slash users has been env, then the bash, that is the shebang environment setting. Okay. Now the first line in the script file must indicate that absolute path to the environment executable with the argument bash, and you can see the example here also in the below. Now the env path in shebang is resolved and used only if the script is directly launched like this. So you have to actually anyway, if you want to run the shell scripting, you have to first execute the shell script, right? So dot, then the slash, or if you want to directly execute, you can do execute using sh command or other commands, right? But you have to directly execute. That's what this means. Okay. So if a script is directly launched like this, so script, then dot slash, then the script name. Now the script have executable permission, of course. Otherwise, see, if you don't give it executable permission, it will not execute, of course. Now the script must have executable permission. The shebang is ignored when a bash interpreter is explicitly indicated to executor. Now see, if you suppose going to execute the environment, if you use any particular, like there is sh, there is ksh, there is bash, right? So if you directly use bash and other things, then whatever you're executing, that will get the privilege. The one that you mention in the top of the code, that will get ignored. That's what it's saying. Now, what is the another one? There is a direct shebang where you're not setting the environment. You are directly mentioning. See, slash bean slash bash. So you are particularly mentioning that this is the bash scripting, right? Now, to execute a script file with bash interpreter, the file line of a script first must indicate about the absolute path of the bash executable. So you can see it's particularly mentioning, okay, it's not, you didn't say the env, right? You say you're setting the exact path, like slash bin slash bash. Okay. Now you can see the example as well. The script must have executable permission. Of course, this is a very common thing. Without permission, it is not executable if you don't give the executable permission, right? Now the shebang is ignored when a bash is explicitly indicated to executable. Again, just like the environment part, here also, if you particularly use execution, say bash or say sh, then that will get the preference over whatever you said in the top of the line. That is common for both. Okay. Now this shebang, the beginning you might not find that you can say complicated or something. It's very easy. But thing is that when you start working say build scripts, where on different environment you are running different build system, suppose any particular binaries, or suppose Python, say you are developing some Python binaries, or you're developing Go binaries. So based on different situation, you might have to use different shell environment. Okay, that's why this is important. So we'll learn while you go through and explore. Anyway, in upcoming session, we are going to cover all this in very advanced, like actual use case we'll be covering. They are all there. Okay. Now just understand the basics part, but understand the basic is important. Okay. Now, this is another very important part where you're talking about quoting strings properly. Now there are let's go with the definition first. So in shell scripting, codes are used to specify the boundaries of a script. Boundaries of a string. Proper coding in shell scripting can prevent misinterpretation of the string by the shell, and can also prevent security issues like shell injection attack. Like there is SQL injection, there is CS injection, like that. There is of course here the sales injection attack also happen, so you can prevent all that. Now there are three types of code available in shell scripting. First one is a single quote, second one is the double quote, and the third one is the backtick. Okay, now each type of this code is different on different type of interpretation based on how you use it. Now single quotes. Now single quotes are specified to a lateral string. Everything enclosed within single quotes is treated as a lateral string, including special character, variables, and command. What it's all meaning is that, suppose in a single quote, if you try to put an environment, like say any variable, be it environment variable or shell variable, that will not work because it's a string literal. It will not allow you the shell to interpret that variable to any value. Okay, so it is useless. I mean, if you want to prevent some shell attack in case of any user input and all, you might want to use this single quotes. Okay, now then what about the double quotes? So double quotes are used to specify string that can be evaluated for variable and commands. This is very important. If you don't want your string that you're taking input or maybe you're processing that should not have any command execution or any possibility such as that, then you go for the single quotes. Okay. And if you want to maybe dynamically generate some value for using variable, or maybe you want to execute a command to get an output for the particular string or output, then you need the double quote. Why I'm covering single quote or double quote in this advanced shell scripting? Because people actually miss this. They put single quotes and put environment variable there, or any shell scripting variable there, and they expect that it to give you the proper output, and that doesn't happen. So it's very important to understand these parts. Now, and the third one is backtick. I think by now you guys already know, but just to repeat that backticks are used to execute a command and return the output. The output of a command is expanded with the string. Now, what is that? You can see the example below here. That suppose if you use this single quotes, it will just whatever, say you can see that here that bash, that's John Doe, that's variable I'm assigning John Doe, and again echo then hello dollar name. As a single quote, it will print exactly hello then dollar name. It will not give the proper value because you use single quote. Now for the double quote, you see same exact script, name John Doe, but here in the echo, if you say I'm using double quote, then it's showing hello John Doe because it's now evaluating the variable and checking the variable have some value and then printing the value. Okay, then you see the today is equals on date. Now that is a command which gives you the current date. Okay, now if you see here, then I'm using echo, then in the date part when inside variable I'm saying today is equal to backtick then date. Now what is doing backticks when I'm adding, then the whatever I write inside the backtick, shell will think that okay, this is a command. Okay, you're specifying a command, and when backtick is there, that means the command actually returning some value. That's why backtick means run the command inside, and whatever the value generate, pass on to variable, or if you want to just echo it, you can do that. So here I'm just saving that inside the backtick, whatever the command is written, that value to the today variable, and I'm showing the echo then in double quotes because I cannot use single quote. That would be problem, right? Because it will not show the variable value. I'm using double quote, then today is the dollar date, then it's showing the proper value. So this is very basic stuffs. Sometimes can cause the entire sales script, like you write in so good and last moment you didn't put the variable properly. You use single quote or maybe backtick, just somehow you got missed it, right? Then this kind of issue can happen. So this is very important. You should understand this quoting properly. Now, if you normal cases, when you keep writing things, it become practice. You will not miss it. But at the beginning, sometime you might face this single quote backward problem. I used to face a lot, to be honest. But we keep writing, writing some build script, CI/CD pipelines, and all that. It become used to. So that's one thing. Mastering cat. Cat is a command. That I think if you're a DevOps engineer, you'll be using a lot. Okay, for various way. Okay, now I'm just given a very few example, because of course you will gonna have some assignment at the end of the video for that also, and for learning also. Now, what is cat? Cat is a command in a command line utility in Unix operating system that is used to concatenate and display the files. Okay, so whatever files have, you want to see the content of a particular file, you can do that, or you can join a different file to a single file. That also you can do. Now, it can be used to view content of one or more files, like combining multiple files into single files, or just create and view files. You can do all the stuff. Now, use cases. There are few use cases you can see below. I've explained. Just going through a bit. Printing the context or contents of a file using cat, then the file path if you give, or file name, of course, a file path. Then it will display it to a normal. I mean, in your console you can see it. Okay. Now, to display non-ASCII character, you have to give the $V command. Okay. Then you will see any, suppose Unicode or special character is there in the file, it will display that as well. Okay. Now, how to write to a file? Say cat and then say file name, then just give the file path. It will write to that particular file, whatever content. Now, how to concatenate the multiple files? Is it cat, then file 1, file 2, file 3, all by spaces, and then give this greater than symbol, then space file name. It will combine all three files into a single file. Okay. Now this is a very good use case, that is like concatenate multiple gzip file, because what happens, we generate, suppose for database, multiple database, we generate multiple database files, okay, in gz or tar, right? Now what we do, we while putting to AWS, normal cases for entire cluster, how many databases we have, we combined all that gzip and then transfer to S3 or something, like any object storage service. So we combine that and write a file that combine. Of course, that also size become, I mean, we can do multiple compression that there. It's up to us. But just in case, to keep a single file for the entire cluster, all the DBs, we then put to the S3. Here, this is how you can combine or concatenate multiple gzip file or any zip file also similar way. Okay, so these are the very good use cases. While working with cat, you see this kind of stuff you're using a lot. Like suppose sometime in command line, I used a lot this kind of command. This is, yeah, there are few more other commands similar to this which I used to write or execute, say Kubernetes manifest files and all. Sometimes other manifest files, so I do manipulation like this. Again, well, all are the use cases. I'm just saying it is possible and you can use that way. Okay. Now it's good if you cat is a simple command, but its use cases are very huge. So you want to look at it, and there are a lot of options available in this cat command. C does n print the line numbers, dash v print the non-printable characters, then t show the tab characters, e show the intended line show line feed, e show the same as like that's v1. B show the number non-empty output file. So all these options are there. Maybe I missed a few. You can check. You can run man and then the command name, and it will give you exact manual or say description documentation of a command. You might want to try that one. Okay. Now grep. Now grep is another command that is used a lot. Yet people who's learning is don't use this command, but when you start using start writing shell scripting for your build pipelines or maybe other automation script cases, grep command become a very good command for a lot of use cases. Now we'll come to that use case and all. First, understand what is a grep command. Now grep is a command line utility in Unix like operating system that is used to search for a specific pattern or text in a file or input. It stands for global regular expression print. I think till now you might have seen, maybe you used it or maybe know this. There's a grep command. Now, this is what the meaning: global regular expression print. So simply search for regular. You can use regular expression searching, or you can just search for normal text also. You can do all that. Now, see the use cases. To find the word foo in the file bar. Okay, so grep foo is the word that I want to search in a file called bar. So the particular set, it could be desktop, it could be home, it could be whatever the path, then the file name. Simply give grep, then the particular word that you want to find. So for example, foo, it could be any word that you want to search, and then the file path. It will search for that particular stuff. Okay. Now to find all line that do not contain foo in the bar. So see, is that not contain? Okay. You're filtering stuff. So grep, then dash v, then foo. That's the word that you don't want to be seen in the particular file. That, and then the particular file name. Okay. And now to use find all word containing foo in the end. Okay. Kind of a global searching. Okay. Then you're doing grep, then double quote, then the star command you see here, this, and then the foo. Then it will search for all the lines. Okay. So these are the some use cases, but there are a lot of many advanced use cases where you can simply search for different, like you can use filtering and in combination you can do all the stuff. We'll come to that. Just understand grep used for searching stuff. That is fair enough, right? Now let's go to the one aliasing. I think this is another very good command, or we will be using in scripting a lot. That what is, let's understand what is aliasing first. Okay, so aliasing is a feature in Unix like operating system that allows you to create a short nickname or abbreviation of a longer command, and when you enter the aliases, the shell script replaces with the full command that it represents. Aliasing can be used to save time and typing, to complex simplify complex command, or to change the behavior of command. Now what it simply means, suppose you have a very long command, you have a very long grep command, a very long other command that you used for some task, right? Now every time typing and copy pasting might be not that preferable, right? Or you don't want to do that. So what you can do instead, you can get alias of the command. So for example, see, there is a I'm using see, there is the command ls, right? Then L, it will list the file and directories. Now instead of typing ls then dash L, I can create an alias called ll, and it will do the same stuff. Now let's try it out and see that if that work perfectly or not. Let me quickly check. Terminal. Okay, now let me quickly show you. Let me share. I hope you can see the cell now. Yeah, this one. See, I have this ls dash L command. Okay, now this is simply print all the files and folder, everything we have here. Now let's clear the screen. Now I can do run same command, or I can get alias. See the equal alias ll equals ls a. Okay, L, and let's run ll. You see that doing the same stuff. So we created a shorthand of the long command that will simply do the same operation, but you don't have to type the long command. This is a very quick example, but possibilities are limitless. It is up to you how you're going to utilize all that. Okay, now let's go back to the main view. Okay, now here are a few stuff that I want you guys to know. Let me quickly move myself from this view. So see, in this command of the alias ll, I think you guys now get the view what I did, right? Now to make the alias persistent across all shell stations, you need to add it to your shell configuration. Now for me, I'm a Mac user, I have the ZRC because I'm using the ZSH, right? Suppose you want to do it for say some EC2 instances, or maybe you're running Ubuntu, then for your Ubuntu instance, I mean Ubuntu machine, then you must have a bash rc. Okay, if you don't have, you can of course create in your home directory and simply add this particular command, alias ll is equal to this ls then L, and it will be next time onward, it will be available across wherever you want to run it. Okay, so that you can utilize. Now suppose you want to deregister, so you registered a short command using alias. Now you want to deregister the command. How can you do it? You can simply do it by running unalias then the particular alias that you created. So here for example, unalias then ll, so it will simply remove that alias that you've created. Now if you want to see all that aliases that you have created till now, you can run alias then space b. That will give you the list of the alias that you've created. Sometimes you want to check through and see, you can do that. Okay. Now let's go to the next part, jobs and processes. I think this is one of the very important part when you are going to run complicated job structures, or maybe you want to check the performance of the execution that you're doing. All the stuff, it will become very useful. Now that is why it's very important to understand this, and maybe you want to explore explore this further as well. Now let's understand the basic stuff, what it is, and what are the commands you have. You can run and check all this. So let's understand what it is. Okay, so in Unix like operating system, a process is the interface of running a program. So if you're running a program in an interface, if you see the ps command, you see the processes. So it's kind of a instance of running a program. Okay, so this is called process. So running something in simple term. Now when you start a program, the operating system create a new process for it. So if you run any program, it will create a new process for it. Okay, now each process have its own memory space and own file descriptor and other resources. So when you are executing something, it's of course have its own memory. So it's in RAM is getting it's allocating, RAM is allocating the memory, CPU is of course processing it. So all this required resources all getting allocated to particular processes, right? Now this is all about the process. Now what is a job then? So a job on the other hand is a group of one or more process. So what is saying, suppose it's a my goal is to create good content. Okay, now there are a bunch of people. So I'm a process. Okay, I'm creating content, I'm a process. Now there are a bunch of people who are there, okay, who are doing the same stuff. Now we combine together and we're doing the same stuff together. Okay, that's the job. So multiple people in Linux language in that way. So multiple people becoming doing a job, running a job, and I am a single process. Okay, so think that way. So a job on the other hand is a group of one or more processes that are managed together in by shell. Okay, so this is the job. Now job can be thought of a task that you run in a terminal. When you run a program, the shell create a new job for it and assign unique ID for the job. You can see the unique IDs as well for each jobs. Now let's understand one important part here. Let me just move myself up. Okay, there are few certain commands that I want you guys not memorize, because see, you might not be daily working with job and processes. Sometimes you will come across that sometimes you have to run some kind of command to see what are the jobs running. If a job is utilizing so much memory or processes, maybe it's stuck. Like suppose in a Linux or any system, for example, any Unix system. Okay, you are seeing somehow your performance getting down. It's not as per the need. So then you have to look, okay, maybe some process, maybe other process that I don't know, or unexpectedly using memory or CPU resources. That's why the application becoming so. So that's kind of doubt you have to print in your mind. Okay, that can happen. So you have to look through processes. Okay, then of course you have htop command, you have top command. You go through the cnc, what are the top commands are actually utilizing your main CPU and memory, and then you do your own debugging and all that what you require. Okay, now let's go through these commands. First, the jvg, it send a stop job to the background, allowing you to continue using the terminal while the job is in the running. Okay, then you have the fg, that is the bring a background job to the foreground, making it the current job and allow you to interact with it directly. Okay, now job, I mean you understand the multiple processes. I hope that you are getting a track of that. When I'm saying job, means multiple processes. So a BG is a background job. Suppose you're running multiple processes running, it bringing to front end in the in current view, and you can interact, maybe stop it, maybe restart it, whatever do it, you can do all the stuff. Now jobs, if you run the jobs command, will give you like list of all the jobs that is running, or stop by the current shell session. Okay, then you have a kill command. Now suppose you have like you're going through, okay, one of your server somehow it's been very slow. One command you're running, it taking ages to get the response and all that. That means what? Some process is utilizing your system resources. You might have to kill particular program which is unexpectedly utilizing all the stuff to free up the system, and then you can do debugging and all that from the logs and system logs or kernel logs, whatever you want to call it. Okay, maybe there's some kernel panic happening due to the same process only, that you also have to check, right? But the first part is to actually kill the process to free up the system resources, right? For those things you have to run this kill command. Now to if you done normal kill command and then in the process ID and all that, it might not be able to kill you based on the job or process priority. Okay, how can you like somehow kill it, like forcefully kill it? You can use that kill -9 command. If you give the -9 command, it will for sure like forcefully kill the particular process. Okay, that you might want to do if certain resource certain process is used up your resources. Now see, all this I'm discussing on a perspective of a DevOps engineer because that's the training purpose, right? So all this thing you see, you thought, you so like, understand, you maybe run but like multiple programming, say take a EC2, run many programs, you go through each processes and some kill them program and see what happening. This kind of thing I'm expecting you guys to do to learn about all this more. Okay, now that is the kill part. Now PS. PS is actually very good command, and many of us use it daily basis probably. And what we do, we see what are the processes running in the current in the foreground. Okay. Now PS display information about the processes that is currently running in the system. The PS command can be used with various options to display different information about processes, such as their process ID, parent process ID, memory usage, and all that stuff. You can use all that. Okay. Now, if you want to kill a process event, for example, there are top command, there are stuff. Sometimes you want to see current process you want to kill. Maybe some testing you're doing and all the stuff. Specifically, sometime we need to restart Docker, see the Docker running fine or not. We sometimes run the PS commands. Okay. I'm just giving a Docker example, but there are many programs that you want to run in your current program and see that's working or not. If not, maybe you want to restart. If you want to kill the process, somehow you're not able to kill from the UI. You can of course kill from the command line, right? So you can do all the stuff. Now there is a top command which you guys already might know that it's so the real time list of the processes sorted by CPU or memory usage, so that you can kill any resource that is using up your resources. Okay. Now check this particular command that I've given for example. Okay. Now what happens sometimes, you have applications. Okay. Now that applications actually suppose you're using a port to run the particular application, and what happening, you're trying to run but that application is not able to start, or that process is not able to start because the port that you're targeting to run your particular application, or maybe self-scripting doing some stuff and you want to run particular program and all that stuff, somehow port is blocked. Okay, then how to know what program is actually utilizing that particular port number? Now this is an actual real life use case that you have to go through, and you have to kill that particular process, right? So you can use lsof, okay, that command, then -i, then the port number. Then it will tell you like what is the particular program, or what program is already occupying that particular port number, because you might be want to run that your own application that port number, right? Then once it gives you the process ID of what's running there, you can kill that if it's not you're not in it to continue running the program, right? This is one of the very important one. Now finding information about the running process, you can use px, then aux, and then pipe symbol, then grep. See, grep's getting utilized for many things, right? Then search term, and then the show process, matching, all this thing you can do all this stuff. Okay, so this is one very small example. You can see here ps aux, then pipe symbol, grep, nginx. So it will get information about the nginx processes. Okay, so that's very basic example. But jobs and process is very important, because in upcoming session many places I'm going to use I'm going to try a lot of things to manipulate the processes and with jobs. In Python there is a project even I'm doing to that that's a kind of this assignment project where we are working with this processes. Okay, so you want to understand before going to advanced topics later on. So just check this jobs and process part. Now, shell scripting redirecting. Okay, now if you have previously used it somehow without knowing all this thing called shell scripting redirecting. Okay, now what it is. Okay, so in shell script, in Unix like operating system, redirection is a feature that allow you to control the input and output of the commands. Now you might think this is pretty common or maybe it is basics and all that, but it holds a lot of use cases. You'll learn it of course while going through your projects and all that. But just for now, learning the basic usage in terms, you can later on we will see a lot of advanced use cases. Now with redirection, you can redirect the standard input, or we call it stdin. Okay, standard input in short we call it. Now in different programming language, you will see the exact word stdin. Remember that. And standard output, again in different programming languages, you will see the exact word std out. Okay, now and standard error, that is stderr. So these are the system. It's not I'm saying something, is actually the shell calling these things. Okay, standard input, standard output, and the standard error. Okay, of a command to different source and destination. Now here are some common example, like where you are going to doing the redirection. Now redirection mean what? You have like one command in the output, standard output, right? And you're using that standard output to create an input for a file. This is called redirection. Okay, so for example, you run any command. Command could be lsl, could be pwd, could be any command. I'm telling. Then give that greater than symbol and then give the file name. So whatever the standard output of a particular command that you are running, that will give you something. That particular content is actually getting converted to input for a file. That is what we are doing here using this greater than symbol. Okay, this is why I mean you might seem that is very simple, very basic, but its use case is huge. This is, we are covering pretty basic topic here. You will see a lot more use cases later on. So yeah, again I think I explained that one. Let's go to appending standard output to a file. Now these things actually the content, the suppose there is a file txt. Every time you run the command, the content, if the file already exists, its content will get overwritten. Okay, that means every time you run the command, it will generate a new content and it will overwrite the existing content. What if you want to just output? Maybe you are running some process and they're getting logs, and then logs you want to redirect to a particular now logs files and all that. Now there are a lot of ways to achieve that. This is suppose a pretty basic example you want to run and do it. Now that you can do here, instead of overriding the past logs, you can just keep appending to the log file, right? So that's you can do here using the two greater than symbol. So command, any command that you want to run, then two greater than symbol and the file name. So every time the command runs, it will of course generate some output, maybe useful for you as a log. Then your say the file.txt, you can give it the xyz log file, and there the command output will get written. That way you are not overriding your file, you're just appending to it. Now same way redirecting standard error. So here if you see command then space 2, the number 2, if you give that and then of course the greater than symbol, then the shell will interpret. Don't just output any content, any messages, only output if, or use as a output for a particular file as an input, only if this is an error. This is a standard error. That's why standard input, standard output, and standard error. So if it's a standard error, that two symbol, then only it will write to the file. Okay, now redirecting both the standard output and standard error to a file, I mean that you guys understand now. Now there is redirecting standard input from a file. Suppose this is the example that I've shown you. It's more of a how you can like from a command you write the output to a file. What if you want to input the commands from a particular file? Of course you can do that, right? So here is the example. In this example you can see that it is I think I'm using greater than symbol, right? Now this is less than symbol. So command, then less than symbol, and the file txt. In this example, you can see standard input of a command is redirected from a file.txt, right? And the contents of the file will be used as an input for the particular command. So if a command, suppose, requires some parameters, some could be something is required, right? That actually get converted by this particular less than symbol. Okay. Now these are all the pretty basic use cases. The more you go and experiment all this, you will see the use case. You will understand this use case even better way. Okay. Okay. Advanced function. Now in function in last week's 2 weeks back when we learned about basic writing a function, all that. Now here are some advanced use cases. For example, if a function that accept name parameters, how can you write a function called name parameter? If you see the example, we are running, say we have function, so foo or whatever you want to call it, then we are running a loop. Okay, so while then you see that dollar hash like it's like greater than 0. If it's true, we have more parameters. This print actually number of parameters. If it's greater than 0, then do case $1. Now you are writing the custom command here. So $1 in f for follow, like either could be value could be dash f or dash follow. Then you can run whatever command that you want to run. Now it's a very big example. I'm just assigning local follow to the following, that kind of stuff. Suppose the t that then that slash hash sorry hyphen tail, then is storing the value local tail is equal to $2. Then the next command, now $1 means the first command, then $2 the second command. That's how the commanding works, right? So all these things you can, like, this is a very pretty basic example where I'm just quickly giving the parameters. You can make it as complicated or as featureful that you want, but all these are actually very what do you call it, advanced use cases. And you can see the example also how I was getting utilized, right? Example like that, you can provide dash f dash tail and all that. So you see that you sometime you, for a particular command line, you are supplying multiple parameter like dash f for file, dash o for output. This is how they are made. Now this is a very pretty basic example. That are of course much better way to do that as well, but using function, how can do it? This is the example here. Okay. Now handling, I mean, this comes to the handling flags and all. So handling flags and optional parameter. Now the get or built-in can be with this built-in flags operations can be write function to accommodate flags and optional parameters. This present no special difficulty, but one has to handle appropriately the values that touched by the get opts. As an example, you can see like how I'm getting the options and all that. See, I will not go to very details because it's a very advanced use case. If you see that you want to supply some custom flags or options, you might want to explore more about this. I don't want to cover this. I don't want to go through every single part. Otherwise, you might feel so overwhelmed with all this. Just understand that these features are there. You can supply custom parameter, name parameter, optional parameters in a function. So this is how you can do it. Okay. Now, more of these use cases we'll see when we do the CI/CD deployment in build script that I have already prepared. I will not discuss more of them. Otherwise, we'll lose interest or you will even feel it's overwhelmed. So I will not do that. But understand, you can do this stuff. Okay. Now the next one, sourcing. I think this is probably one of the thing that you're going to see the most in common use cases. Okay. Now, what is sourcing? Let's understand the sourcing first. So in shell scripting, sourcing a script means running the commands in the script as if they were entered directly in the terminal. And sourcing a script also known as dot sourcing. So using dot ultimately use the source thing, like we call it dot sourcing because typically the source of the script is typically dot, then that is script space script name. Now, what it is and what this means. Suppose you have written a shell script. In shell script, you have function. In shell script, you might have some defined environment variables. Could be XYZ, whatever properties you have in the shell script, that you have it. Now, if I want to run some program, okay, in that particular that shell script, I have to execute it, right? Now, without executing, I just want to fetch all the function. I want to fetch all the environment variables or whatever properties that particular script has. I want to import all that into my current shell. Shell in the sense I'm talking about this. Okay, this. Let me quickly do that. Okay, so this is shell. So what I'm saying, suppose let's go to the shell scripting demo folder. Okay, I think let's clear the screen. Let's go to shell demo. I think this is the one probably. We can write also, no problem. Okay, see there are a lot of array loops, functions, and probably there. Yeah, say cat functions, right? This is very pretty basic example, my function, all that. Now if I want to access this particular my function, I just want to import it. I don't want to call it, just use it. Maybe in the future I will call it, right? How can you do that? You can do that using source. So source is actually what it mean, that you are importing that particular functions, all its capabilities into the current terminal or current shell environment. Terminal not always means it's for terminal. You might want to you have 10 files, you want to source 10 files and combine all that. Maybe you want to run some certain stuff. You just need the command and function to be ready in the shells to be executed. Okay, in those cases you want to use dot sourcing, or if the source command is available in system, you can use source then the particular file, the shell file name. You can do that as well. Okay, source. Now you can use dot also, then function name. Okay, see, these are the ways you can import that. I think no such file in the wins. Okay, that's actually because I am given the proper path. Yes, see, now I was able to import that. So either dot sourcing or you can use the source command also. And what is does all the shell scripting capability, functions, variables, everything you're importing from that particular shell script file to your local shell or local terminal or shell scripting environment. You can do that. Okay, now I explained the same thing in this word, so you can go through it or you might ignore. Now, one thing that I wanted to cover while covering the sourcing topic part, that you can create virtual environments, and each virtual environments for a particular to run the program, you might want some libraries to be included, some some binaries to be included. While maybe for other program running, you don't need that. So you're creating a shell contained shell environment. You can create that kind of functionality using virtual environment, or we can source the virtual environment. That is the most important part. While doing Python development, we are going to use this sourcing part a lot. Okay, saying is it live? Say the live session. You can check the from beginning if you are joining late. Anyway, sourcing a virtual environment. So when developing several application on one machine, it become very it become useful to separate out dependencies into virtual environment. So what is calling for each program, you might have different dependencies or different binaries required. You don't need to import all, you need to run all the time, right? For while running a particular program, you should run all that, right? So you're creating a virtual env or virtual environment, and this environment are sourced into shell. So you're using dot or source command. Then the path where the virtual environment file is, you are sourcing that shell file or virtual environment file into the current environment, and then you run the particular command to run the application. That's what is meaning by creating a virtual environment. And we do use this virtual environment part for running Python application, because what happens, for running Python application, you use different like for different, suppose for different projects you are using different versions, and maybe there is a possibility that you change the version, something might break for a particular application, right? This can happen. So to prevent all those scenarios, you can create a particular virtual environment for each application, and then you can run your application like that. Okay, that's why sourcing is very important. Even actually this sourcing has very advanced use cases going forward. Not, you might not see now, but while covering through many other sessions, you will see how I'm using the sourcing part. Okay, math. Okay, suppose no, actually in shell scripting it has support for the basic math, but sometimes you need arithmetic operation, very complicated ones, scientific calculation, all that. So yes, you can do all the stuff. Let's go through the basic description below first, and then we'll go through what are the ways you can achieve different mathematical calculations part. Okay, now first is the math part. So it's in shell scripting, you can perform arithmetic operation using the shell built-in arithmetic evaluation feature, where you don't have to import anything, okay, or you don't have to use any particular other external binary. Just using in shell, you can do normal operations, and this feature allow you to perform I think I you have to move the environment. Okay, and this feature allow you to perform arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo in shell scripting itself. Okay, now we can extend this features, this calculation part, using certain binaries. Okay, or maybe certain, you can say, libraries, which will be very helpful. What are those? There is a BC, DC, and EXPR. Okay, these are the kind of commands available to you. Some specifically BC and DC are binaries you have to install. So you have to use apt and get it. Then only you can utilize this. Okay. See, there is example I am explaining here. How basically you can do here, right? Using math, using basic bash scripting, you can do that using BC command. You see how I'm doing the left side below, right? Using DC, how can do it. So all the commands are there. Anyway, when I share this particular document to you guys, you can explore. So that's fine. Okay, but just understand you have this math, and you can do complicated math use cases using BC and DC. Okay, and of course there is, let me just move this exp command there. You can use that one as well. Okay, now SSH. Yes, actually I want to cover this one because while I'm talking about advanced shell scripting, right? See, shell script is shell script where you, if you covered my last shell scripting deep dive session, I've shown you how to utilize, how to create shell scripting files, how to write shell scripting file, many running the say for example different operations, different function, condition, all that, right? Here I'm talking about you have done all that. Okay, now how are the ways you can run that? Now as a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, you will be working with instances, cloud instances, EC2, compute server, GCP, and all that, right? Now when I'm talking about all that, what you're doing and how you're running the things, usual cases you do SSH into the particular machine, and then you run the shell scripting, right? Now using shell script, there are many ways you can use shell script, and command like SSH to do all these operations. Now first that let's understand about what exactly is SSH, and what are the ways you can run the commands via SSH directly. So let's first understand what is SSH. Now SSH or secure shell is a widely used protocol for secure remote access to servers or other networks devices. As a DevOps engineer, you likely to use SSH frequently in your work. Of course, we need to use that. And here are some ways SSH can be used in a DevOps context. Now, what are those? Below are the example. Let's go one by one. First one is the accessing remote servers. So suppose you have a EC2 instance, then you have to use the SSH command, then the username and @ then the server URL, could be IP, could be your domain, whatever it is. And of course a key mechanism has to be there. Key mechanism I'm not covering in this session because I have created a separate recording on that about all this key, private key, this public key and all that. There's a separate session I'll be releasing soon. For that reason I didn't include in this particular session. But I want you to understand, of course, normal cases, you are not handling all this complicated stuff. You go to cloud, when you're creating the cloud instance, for example, EC2, you're downloading that particular key, and then you're utilizing, they also give the command also, space dash I, then space, you supply the particular key URL, right? So that's why you are not maybe utilizing that much of you don't have that understanding of private key, public key yet. I want to cover it in very details. But for now, understand you can use SSH, then the space, then SSH username and @ then this particular remote server URL. That's how you can access the server. If it doesn't have any authentication, it will be allowed you directly. If it has authentication, of course, there has to be some password. There either has to be some key file, right? For EC2, for example. So you need to have this kind of thing. So first thing, accessing the remote server. Of course, using SSH, you can access the remote server. First use case. Second one is the transferring files. Now, SSH includes a built-in transfer protocol called SFTP, or Secure File Transfer Protocol, which can be used to securely transfer files between servers. For example, SFTP then space, then the user, that particular command is there. Okay, now this command start the SFTP session with the remote server, allowing the user to transfer file securely between the local and remote system. Now this are all pretty basic example. I don't want to overheat or overload you guys. Okay, just understand things are there. We can use that. There is SSH. We can access server by SSH. We can transfer files. We can say manage authentication. So SSH can be used to manage authentication for remote access server using including private key and all that. Again, I didn't include the details part as a separate session, but understand you can generate the keys using SSH keygen command, and it will generate you two files: one private key, one public key. The one public key is actually the one will be saved in the remote server, and when you want to access your particular server, it will check you are supplying the private key or not. If that doesn't match the public key, the connection will not happen, right? So that's why public key and this private public key access is kind of a very standard or still normalized authentication mechanism for most of the remote servers. Now there is, two-factor authentication, all that's coming specifically for the say where you're handling the very critical data. But of course, the basic first step is actually having a private key and then using that to access it. Okay. Now there is another very cool function, I will say, and that actually even utilized for many I think libraries, other libraries also, which is called tunneling network traffic. What it is? So SSH can be used to create secure tunnel between two endpoints. We're not talking about one server, we're talking about two endpoints. Okay, allowing network traffic to be securely transmitted to over to an insecure network. Okay, how that happens? So you have to use SSH, then -l command, then you have to give the particular your port, that the traffic you want to do that one. So for example, for 8080 I want to traffic all that here. Okay, so SSH-l, then my local host port 8080, then what, local host 80, then no, this local host can be local host, can be anything else, then user at the rate the remote server URL. Now this is again pretty basic example. Advanced use cases I have ready for separate recording. It will be releasing soon. Okay, and of course the last part is that automating task. Now this is another pretty cool feature also, automatic task. See, you have 100 servers. Okay, now for 100 server, can you manually log in and manually run command? No, right? Instead, why not you write a shell script file where you have a file in a list. Suppose a list file. Okay, let's say xyz list or remote server list or EC2 server list or Ubuntu server list, for example. Now ideally you should not even do that, there are proper tool available for that, but just think you don't know any other tool, you have a task to run a particular command in all 100 machine or 1000 machine, for example. Okay, now how can you do it? Search scripting is the way. In search scripting you can have a file, okay, and each line you can have all this server, okay, server URL, for example, or what you want to have it. And why not you you can loop through different lines, right? So while reading line, for each line you can run the loop using for command, using while command you can run all this loop, right? Now you run through all the loop, and suppose your task is to actually restart the Nginx server, for example. Okay, how can you do it? Simply SSH, then user at the rate, of course, the remote server URL could be SSH Ubuntu at the rate of your EC2 server that is maybe running Ubuntu OS, and then space, then the command that you want to run, sudo systemtl systemctl, then restart Nginx. So what will happen now? The moment the authentication pass, it come to the shell environment, the first command it will automatically execute is this sudo systemctl restart nginx. Now this pretty basics way, there's a thing called there is a configuration management tool called Ansible, right? And not just Ansible, there's Vget and other tools are there, Salt Stack, okay, a lot of stack is there, or tools is there. They do the exact same stuff. Now they manage it more efficiently because there are a lot of engineer work, a lot of mind behind all this tool who are doing this job better maybe than you and me. But think that there is a possibility, right? You can do all this stuff, right? So not just automating single stuff. You can do a lot of stuff, maybe updating the instances, maybe patching the instances automatically for 1,000 or 100 instances altogether. You can do all that stuff. Of course, better tool is Ansible, maybe SSM in AWS. You have a tool called SSM which does this job better. But of course, if you are not aware of all other tools, you just want to do your self scripting for any reason, you can do that. That is another very advanced use case of a self scripting using SSH. Okay, I hope you learned something on today's session. Now, assignment parts. I think we learned in self scripting deep dive, and along with this advanced self scripting part, where I want to cover automating part, running script in SSH, and of course some basics stuff that you will learn. Including all that, you will have around, see, let's go over this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think, yeah, 6 tasks. Okay, 6 particular tasks you will have. I want you guys who are following from the deep dive session and this advanced session, both to just learn, and like if you're not covered fully yet, you're new to it, fine. Just go through this session, and last session actually 2-3 hours, very long. This one is of course short because I wanted to cover some advanced session topic that will be useful. Okay, now first one is actually script to calculate the sum of numbers in an input array. So anyone suppose input array say in a single say command line, using self scripting, of course, you ask user to enter multiple numbers, 1 space 2 space 3 and all that. Then convert this array to convert this to like, then like, you have to create a sum of it, right? So have a function which will take all these values as an array, and it will loop through each and every item and we'll do the sum 45. Okay, so that thing you have to do. That's the first task. Again, this document I will share with you guys. What I want from you guys is that simply go through what I've learned from last week, that week session, first scripting deep dive, and this, and whatever you learn using that combine, why not you try to solve this? Okay, and the next thing that of course you solve it, whatever the progress, what I want you guys to go to GitHub and upload this code, say scripting demo or scripting assignment. Okay, create a particular repo for this and try to complete all these tasks. This is the first task. All this thing why I'm asking, while I give interviews to different companies, these are the questions I get to pass the a DevOps job or system engineer job, for example, if you want to get it. So that's why I covered the use case that I faced in past, and of course you might also get the same. I think many get the same question. If I'm getting, of course others to getting it, right? Now the next part is write a shell script that take a file name as an input and count the number of lines, words and character in the file. Okay, so suppose the sample.txt file is there and there is 80 lines, 560 character and 231 words, whatever it is. Okay, get that done. You write a shell script which do all this stuff. Okay, now third assignment, you have write a script that searches a directory for files with a specific extension and move them into the new directory. Now what I'm talking about here, for example, you have a directory. In the directory you have abc.txt, xo.pdf or whatever it is, then .docs, whatever the other extension. So for each extension you first loop through the particular directory, then check that what is the extension, you split the in a file name by a dot, you can split it, right? So abc and txt, so txt is the extension, right? Split the word of the file name. Okay, first you have to loop through all the files, then split the file name abc.txt, then check then txt folder is already there or not. If the folder is not there, create it. If it already exists, you have to use a condition. Okay, if condition, if already exists, fine, you don't have to create the folder, just move that particular file to this particular folder. So mv, then this file name, then the new path is directory, that the txt slash this just txt slash, and then you will move to the txt folder, right? So do the same thing. You of course you have to do automated way, where if you run the script, it will in a folder, suppose you have a lot of files. Okay, very good use case. What happens, people upload directly a lot of files created, and sometimes you may want to organize all those things. will be useful for you also, right? So run the script there and see your download folder actually getting civilized. Yes, I have only directories that is you can sort. You can just go to the particular directory and see, okay, I have this file as a txt file, I have this file as a pdf file, right? So I want you guys to do this assignment as well. Okay, now the next one is that write a script that takes a text file as input and output a summary of the most common words and the frequency. Suppose this particular load up some test. Okay, here we have a lot of words: eat, printer, took, ABC, whatever it is. Okay, I want to see that I want to see that how many how many common words are there, and their the most common words here and their frequency. Suppose it used 10 times, so on top it should be the what is the word that they use the most. It may be it, and the most common how many times getting used. Say example I, how many eyes there, how many eyes getting used. So kind of a summary you should create using that particular shell script. Okay, so do that one as your fourth assignment. Then you have fifth assignment: write a script that takes directory as input and compress all the files in the particular directory to a single archive file. Okay, and here you should not use a particular zip command. You just don't just use zip command directly. Instead, what you should do, I will say, why not use cat command to combine if that is required. But okay, first example, that let's come to the first problem and analyze it. So write a shell script that takes a directory as input and compress all the files in a directory into a single archive file. What I'm calling into that, compress all the files in a dictionary. So whatever files it has, there is a zip command available. If you don't have it, you should have a if condition. If zip command is not found in the system, then it will automatically use apt command to install the zip using, like, it's automatic. That means you have to pass the -y part. Okay, it will, you have to first search about it, how you can automatically, without interactly saying yes, it will install that part, and then it will go through the directory and create a zip of it. Okay, try to do it. If not able to do, is fine. Anyway, we'll have the solution, but I want you guys to try at least. Okay, and the final part. Okay, write a script that generates a random password as specified with a specified length. So what it is? So you see there are many password generator site available. Okay, let me show you a very basic one, I guess, that will help you to understand what I'm talking about. So let's go to Google and let's search for the password generator. I use a lot password generator. See, this particular site I liked a lot, this one. Now, you don't have the UI in scripting. Of course, you don't have the UI. Of course, you can ask user to input. So what we'll do, first ask the user how many password length how much password length. They will select, maybe make sure that it's minimum 16 or 8 at least. So you have the condition. If it's less than 8, you say error. No, you have to put at least 8 characters. Okay. So how many password length, you have allow that one. Include symbol. So do you want to include symbol? Press 1 for yes, press 2, press 0 for no. This kind of thing. So all these things you accept as a condition. Okay. And then, are you ready to generate? Ask for an input. If they enter yes, then only you generate a password. Okay. That's all you have to do. And this password generator you can use as a reference also, or any password generator use as a reference. Just get it done. Okay, that is the main part, getting things done part. Okay, let's go. I hope you guys get it. So advanced in use case, in the sense I wanted to cover, which kind of very basic stuff, but in if you don't understand from the basic level, in advanced scripting cases you will fail it. So that's why I covered those as the advanced parts. Okay, and of course script using SSH is one of the most advanced yet most common use case. I also use it a lot. Of course, sometime in scripting I do this. Sometime I use Ansible for that, maybe or other tools. Anyways, I see the fit. Okay. Yeah, that's it for today. Of course, I will share this document after the session is done. So I will quickly release this document in LinkedIn, and of course in this particular video's first comment I will share it. Okay, I want you guys to go through all that and complete the assignment. And then what additionally I want that after you're done with the assignment, however how much it is, okay, maybe why not you go to LinkedIn, you write an article about this, and feel free to tag me if you want more visibility, and of course mention the GitHub repo link where you put the code. That way you are writing something, of course everyone doing it, it's the common stuff, nothing to shame, nothing to hide, it's a kind of a learning activity, and say just share it. Okay, that way if you did good, I mean I will be of course able to review your code. At the same time, suppose someone also else will be seeing that, if they find issue they will of course let you know, right? It's a very good thing. So do write all this this assignment that I've given, of course sharing LinkedIn in a few minutes, and do your best part to solve that. Next week I want to cover I think I'll be at the beginning I might just take this, show you the solution for this sales scripting, and we'll start the Python session. Okay, and of course there is one Python session in my channel. I modified a bit. Okay, and of course this you fit. I mean I got the feedbacks. I improved that a lot, and we'll be covering that one. Okay. So again, thank you for joining this session. I hope you learned something today, learned something good, and share this video, share the document I'm going to share with other people. See you soon in my next session.